Good morning, listeners. Thank you once again for having us today. And with me is a very familiar face. So, I think most everybody knows him. With me is my colleague, my mentor, Mr. Stephen Edward. He's here with us today. So, we are, we are going to be speaking on the topic foster care adoption. Before we begin, I will move over to Mr. Edward. Say hello and
Good morning to all the listeners. It's been a while. I was the former host from 2 years back, I think. Um, it's a pleasure to be back. Just to speak to the listeners. Today we have an interesting topic, foster care and adoption, and we will be delving into this area so that at the end, someone can reach out to us to help someone in need.
Mr. Edward was quite shy. He said, "Hey, you can do it. Come, come." And here I am 2 years after.
Yeah.
So yes, thank you again, Mr. Edward. Yes, I owe so much to Mr. Edward. So foster care, Mr. Edward.
Mm.
Foster care and adoption. Can you tell us a little about what is it?
Okay, when foster care and adoption, people normally misuse or they do not understand the difference between foster care and adoption. Foster care is caring for a child or somebody, but the child is not yours. Understand? So, for example, you will have a lot of people used to say, "I'm raised by my grandmother," or "My grandmother raised me," "My aunt raised me," "A family member raised me," or "I was raised by the godmother, my godmother." This used to happen a lot in time past, right? A lot of children raised either with the godmother or the grandmother, right? This is fostering. You're fostering or you're caring for that child, probably because the mother is unable to care for that child at this point in time. So what foster care is that you caring for a child because of the unavailability or the parent is unable to care for that child at this time. That does not make the child yours, right? There are certain things you cannot do as a foster carer, whereas with adoption you can do it. For example, um, okay, before I go there, adoption. Adoption is where the child, although not biologically yours, but the child is yours. And that process is being obtained through a court. It has to go to a court to remove the mother's right and give you that right to have the child. The child becomes yours. With the adoption, you can change the child's name, right? The child is yours, right? You take full responsibility for that child. But with the carer, as a foster carer, what you do is that you facilitate, you probably send the child to school, um, help the child, provide for the child while the child will be living with you, you show the child love. This is foster caring. So to wrap it up, foster caring is a temporary, it's supposed to be a temporary placement. You temporarily place caring for a child whilst the parent cannot do it at the time. Now, when the parent is able to care for the child, sometimes the parent might tell you, "I want my child back." And some people that cause a lot of conflict because some people because they they have grown up attached, they have formed a bond with that child. It usually pains them to know that I have to give back to the child to their parent. But this is what foster caring is. You hold on to the child or you care for the child while the mother cannot at this point in time.
Very good. Question I wanted to ask, at any point when somebody fosters a child, would that lead to adoption?
Yes, it can. And normally, because adoption process is a bit lengthy, can be a bit lengthy. Um, Whilst you have the child in your care as a pre-adoptive parent, we the division still have to do the checkup to ensure that you are caring for the child or you're showing the child love as often as possible, right? We do not just, hey, I want that child to be adopted, and we just give you the child and say, go for it for adoption. No, we still monitor to ensure that the child is in the right place.
So, what entities in institution will be responsible for foster care and adoption?
Right. The Division of Human Services is the one um, who you're supposed to go through to. All right, let me rephrase that. With foster caring, a parent can say, "Let me raise my child for me. Give the child to an aunt, a cousin." Right? The parent has the right. The parent can do that. Right? But if you bring the child to us, it has to go through the legal process to remove the rights from the mother and put you the right. So you can register the child for school, you can apply for a birth certificate. So when we legally put the child in your care, right, it goes to court and give you a legal document so you can do certain things for the child, right? So the division of human services. With adoption, some people go through their lawyers, but yet it has to come back to us because we have to do an assessment of the person. So although the lawyers will do start the process, but when it goes to the AG's chambers, they will send it to us so that we can do a home study and an assessment of that person to ensure that that person is a fit person to be a foster carer, to be an adoptive parent.
So you're saying that foster care and adoption can only happen through the division of human services.
Um,
As you said, foster care. We're talking about parents within the division because, as you were saying, that a mother would have, if a parent, if parents are married, a mother would have the 100% legal guardianship to her child
mhm,
or children.
mhm,
So, in that regard, if she is in agreement to have somebody have her child,
mhm.
then of course,
She can do it.
caring will be
Yeah,
done
she can do
for
it
her.
for her. She can
But
do it.
if it is a case of the division steps in
Mhm.
and then this child has to be removed or replaced with somebody else, then of course it has to go through the division.
Yeah, it has to go
Okay.
to court to ensure that
Yes,
the court.
definitely.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we have what we call a court
Court
order,
order.
and then definitely. Okay. There is also what they call guardianship. Um, they call legal guardianship. Does it have to go through the division as well?
Foster caring and legal guardianship is almost the same thing. Just in the legal guardianship. So that legally you are the guardian for that child. That's not
Okay.
foster care.
But what I'm asking is, persons of color will tell you, okay, listen, I would have had a child for so long.
Mhm, mhm,
You, my auntie will give me this child, and right now I want to sign with this child's behalf.
mhm,
You know, it will be the division.
mhm.
Because they don't know which
The
parents.
arrangement.
But now I want to sign on behalf of the child. Is there what they call, you could go ahead and give the legal guardian, and that will be done through the parents without the division.
It can be done through the lawyer. Yeah, it can be done through the lawyer. Yeah, yeah, it can be done through the lawyer. Because remember, as you rightly said, the mother has a right to give anybody to raise the child, right? But if we placing a child with somebody, so that is different. But as the mother, you can say, because a lot of parents the law did not take out your right as the mother to say, I cannot give my godmother, my godchild's mother, the child to raise,
Mhm.
right? This still happens, and that's all right. But the problem is that sometimes the parent might give the child to the foster carer, and then after a few years, probably not providing anything for the child, not coming and visit the child,
Mhm.
when the child reaches a certain age, the child can do certain things, like probably go for water or of certain age. The parents will say, you know, I want my child back.
Mhm.
And that normally is a problem.
Me, if they will see me when my child had to will just let them see.
See, and
I
there's
come for
grab
my
my child,
children,
and I
not
come from my,
child.
yeah, that,
Yes.
and we try to safeguard people. So in that, in these circumstances, we'll encourage a person visit the division where we can explain to the people, first of all, hey, this is a temporary placement. The mother still has all her right to come and take care of her child or her children. You are just there to facilitate, to help. It is difficult for the parent at this point, so you can just help me. I do not have the money to send the child to school. I do not have the money to feed this children. So you can help me with this child. This is needs to be explained to the people.
Okay, but you said something just for clarification's sake.
Hmm.
You said that the parent still has a right to come for the child. Just for clarification's sake, if this child is placed by the division, the child can only be removed by the division.
Yes,
So it's not a thing where the mother can say, okay, even if the division put my child in, this is still my child, I also have to adopt my child, so today I will just come for my child.
no,
It does not happen
it
this
does
way.
not. So you as the foster parent, you have that protection, right? And once that division places the child there, in foster care, if the child is still not yours, there is still a possibility that the child will return to the parents, to their parents, right? We need to make that clear with all foster parents. This the child is not yours, right? You are just facilitating to help provide for that child. But the protection you have in is that there is a court order, and normally every year or 2 years, an assessment will be done. So the caseworker can see the progress that the mother is making or lack thereof. And the caseworker will inform you, right? Hey, I see progress. Oh, the caseworker is supposed to inform you. Hey, I see she is making progress. So probably in the next 3, 4 months, you might be ready to pick her child out. So that they will give you some heads up so you can prepare yourself mentally. Instead of the mother just coming or going to the school and just grab the child and tell, let's go home with me. I'm your money. That is hurtful to the foster parent.
Question. As a foster carer who has a court order, what are the foster carer's rights on that in terms of can they sign a document, can they make decisions for the children?
Yes, they can make decisions for their child. You cannot, however, you cannot change the child's name, right? But you can sign for the child, you can open a bank account for the child, you can do all these other things the mother could have done, you could have done, you can do it for the child, register in school and whatever. As a matter of fact, some of the schools before, what is supposed to be, it's only the parent that's supposed to register your child. But now the school's taking anybody registering children. It's not supposed to be so. Right? The parents supposed to come in with their child to register the child. With their birth certificate and whatever. But I think the policy has slackened a bit. So because the reason why I say that, because recently I dealt with a matter where the foster carer say, I did everything. I registered the child. I did things. Because what happened is that there was no court order, but yet still the school facilitated the registration of the child. And after a few years, the mother just came. The mother was living in another part of the island where the child will be transferred to another part of another school. And that created a whole havoc.
Yes, because if the foster parents don't have a legal document to show,
Mhm.
then of course you get to know that you are the legal guardian of the child.
But to be fair to the school, some of them realize the child has been with that
So
person for a certain amount of years. So they probably, some of them know, but they assume that you have legal guardianship for the child and whatever, and you don't.
and of course sometimes parents believe that okay, even when child is in foster care, they have no insecure order. This is my child. I can make decisions for these children. So some information on that is well, clarify that basically. Yes.
With the foster care, even though you have a legal document, that does not, we do not, or the court never intends for you to sever relationship with your child. Right? The child still belongs to you. It's just an arrangement where the legal document will help the child, will help the foster parent do certain things on behalf of the child. Right? So you, first, the parent, we are not severing their right. You still have a right to visit the child, communicate with the child. However, this visitation must be structured. You, as the parent, you're gonna just come in the person's house anytime and say, I want to see my child. No, it has to be structured. And that is where either the court or the caseworker will put a structure in place to say, you visit the child between these hours or these hours on that day. So it will be structured. So it protects both persons, both the carer and yourself. Because we do not want somebody is actually facilitating your child, providing for your child in your absence, and you just feel because it's my child, 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes the person has not even gotten off the bed, you just come in the person's yard and just say, I want to see my child. I mean, no, it's not that. But if the child is still yours, you can still make your contribution towards the child if you have. We do not want you to sever your relationship with your child. You can bring off and on, bring a snack or something for the child, but do it discreetly.
And also some of the parents, even when there is a when they feel okay, it's not going to the school until the child is and that's and put a whole different structure in place for the child, even when they're with a foster parent, with a legal document.
Yeah.
So,
These rights have been taken away from you.
right. That's what I wanted to establish because foster parents need to know that when a division has also involved decisions, any decisions made has to go through the
Yeah,
division.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
There is also this matter where you find sometimes the parents call the police. They call the police on different matters. Like you were saying, Mr. Edward, somebody has had a child for so long. But
Mhm.
for example, this matter, I know it's not foster care or adoption, but some information on that because I think it's happening quite a bit. Some mothers do allow the fathers to have the child. To, to sometimes the children have been living with the father for some time, and what you find happening is, like you were saying, the mothers feel okay. Right now, I just want my child, and they would go get the police and then just go for the child. Yes. So, what
Um,
information can we give or guidance can we give on that?
as a man, that is very sad, honestly, and I have addressed that some years back where I was there. Under the laws of St. Lucia, the father, the mother has all the rights to their children. Well, that is when you are not married. If you are married, you have shared custody, right? 50-50. But when you have a child unmarried, the mother can say, yes, I'm sending, I do not want you to go there. I'm not sending you for your father. The mother has all the right to that, the right. However, we do not encourage it because the child needs both to know both his mother and his father. The child needs a love of both mother and father, right? The child has a right to know the child is paternal family as well as his maternal family. Um, but the good news is that a lot of I don't know. I mean, you can attest to that. A lot of fathers are stepping up in their
Yes.
role
Yeah.
when it comes to their children. They are taking a keen interest in their children's welfare, and which is good, right? Um, Before in the 80s, in the 70s, you used to hear men just dropping children here, there, and everywhere and turning their back and gone. To me, that has been curtailed a bit. I'm sure you probably have seen that. Men come in and they do not like the condition that children are living in. They do not like the way that their children are being treated. They do not like what they have their complaints because they are interested in their children, right? Which is good, and we need to applaud them for taking steps, especially towards the welfare of the children. When it comes to the welfare of the children,
And we need to make a special appeal to our policymakers and lawmakers to please give the fathers more rights.
yes,
You find a lot of fathers who were, I think we had a program about that before, where parents, where mothers will think, I'm no longer Mr. Edward, I don't like Mr. Edward head, so Mr. Edward will not come by my child. It is just ridiculous.
yeah.
You will say, I do not want him to see my child. I don't want him in my child's life. It's not your child. It's our child. Okay?
And a lot of the time, the reason why they do that is because the chief excuse, or the most common used excuse, is that he's not feeding the child. Um, Maintenance and custody of a child supposed to be two different things. Who says a woman loves the child more than the father? Who says that? Because is it because you know the child?
Actions will speak louder than
No,
words.
because
Yeah.
there are fathers that will love the children.
Yes.
Definitely.
Very much so.
They have fathers. What the mother is doing their child, they will never do the child again. I've had fathers come in my office and cry, literally tears. Why? Because they do not like what is happening. The condition of where the child is living, probably, for example, I'll give you without mentioning names. For example, I had this client where he has a good job, he has a good home, he has a spare room in his room. So he was saying that because his living condition is better than the mother or he would like just to have the child to go with him. Where to come and live with him. Whereas when the child is living where the child is living with the mother, that the child is sharing a bedroom with two other siblings, two other male siblings. And he said he does not like that. Sometimes when he brings something, they have to share it. So these he is concerned about his children, his child. He's very concerned. Parent men are nowadays, a lot of them are very concerned about the children, and I want to applaud them and I want to tell them to do that. Like you were saying, the policymakers need to change the law. Give men more rights. Men need equal custody for the children. And then we do an assessment to see which one is better fitting to care for that child. Mhm.
Let's say that he has a spare room and the living conditions are a little better.
Mhm.
But if I am a parent who loves my children dearly, who never said that, there was nothing, mom is not being a good mom, it's just that he doesn't have the space to be at the moment. So you find some fathers, I'm not saying this is a situation, but some fathers believe that they can use their status in society to intimidate the mothers. And I don't think that is happening. So it is not because they have the space in everything to think that, I'm a better parent that I can take this child. Because this mother may as well be a very loving mother.
Sure.
Okay? And takes very good care of her children. It's just that it's unfortunate that she doesn't have the amenities, to give to the child as opposed to the them. So I would think that in a matter like that, I would do a thorough investigation, and if it is just about the living condition, the father could spend time with the child could spend time with the father.
Yeah.
But if it is a situation where this child is really in harm's way, this child is really suffering, then of course we can use that.
I think you misunderstood what I was saying. What I said is that we are talking about fathers' love for their children. And I said recently I had a father in my office crying. And I gave the reason why he was crying because he did not like he has his son, and the son has to share a bed. When he bring groceries, we have to share it. I mean, that was the where I was going with that. Is
Yes.
because they care about
I
genuinely care
totally
about the other
understand
side.
that. I
But
was just
yeah, yeah,
being the devil's advocate fully because it is true that some fathers, I have both of them,
Mhm.
some fathers will come and their report will not be that the child is not being treated properly. It is a thing of okay,
my situation is better.
my situation is with, for example, you know what? I am a doctor and my child is who is less painful.
Mhm.
And I feel that my child will be better if it's me and my family. And if my child raised raised them way. Um, I want a reasonable or a valid reason why you need the child to be with you.
Mhm.
So we're not looking at status. Because if the child is safe, the child is being cared for properly,
Mhm.
then to me, you do not have the case why that the child should be taken from the moment without. If the mother wishes to fine, but don't use your status to come and say,
No, no,
no, I want my child because I feel this too low for my child.
no.
That's what I was bringing out. I'm not saying this is the same situation. I was just saying.
I was just say taken out. In that regard, the only reason we'll take out the child is if the child was abused, all forms of abuse, physically, sexually, neglected, emotionally abused, and these things, right? That's the only reason we'll take out the child and just say, but not because you're, like you said, you can intimidate, you can just come in and intimidate because you're of a higher status in society. And the mother probably the living condition is not what you would desire it to be. That means that you just come and bombard and say, I want my child. It doesn't work like that. Because there are a lot of people not raised. Because, for example, when I was growing up, I stepped on the floor.
Yeah.
You
I
understand?
think we all had
I
all of us
stepped
had
on the
humble
floor.
beginnings.
Yeah. I used to pee on the bed, on the thing. I'm not ashamed to say it, and watch where I am today.
Yes,
You understand what I'm
definitely.
saying? So
All of
that
us
is not,
shared. This is what I was getting at. All of us shared a bed,
yeah, and that
and
is not a criteria to just come and just take
and
out
the
the child.
same thing
No.
I'm saying, Mr. Edward. You may have, like you were saying. I'm not saying this is a solution, but I'm just changing it to the side.
Mm.
He says that when he brings the groceries, that the other children he has to share.
Mm.
So what if the time he did not bring the groceries, the father of the other child, they would also have to share with him. So it's a
His son
check.
also
Would
participating in the
exactly.
exam.
So it's not a thing of I have not heard a valid reason why he would want the child to come with him, unless if it's that they're really struggling, he goes hungry, more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Mm.
if it's just that I don't want my son to share, there are other children in the home because sometimes the child may fall short on something that you have not given, and the others would share as well.
That is why
So,
when I explained to him, he
mm,
started crying because
yeah,
he realized that there is nothing you can do. You can't just remove a child just because a child
yes,
is sharing a bed with somebody
yes,
and you have a spare room. No, you cannot do that.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
you can't use your position. Yes, we would like a child to be comfortable as much as possible, but this is not the only criteria to
right,
remove a child from a parent's home. So when I explained that to him, he was really sad because he wanted his child with him. He has his vehicle. He said he can take the child. He gave all a lot of good reasons. I wouldn't say excuse. A lot of good reasons why you would like the child to be with him. This
but
is a boy. I'm a man.
you know what is still amazing? That sometimes you speak to these very same children who has all that, access to all that, and they will still tell you, I want to my mommy. They will still tell you, yes, daddy has a vehicle, yes, all that. I want to spend time with daddy, but I want to stay with my mommy. You
Mhm.
will still get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But something else I wanted to see, Mr. Edward, going back to mothers who basically sometimes mothers will take the child and bring for the father.
Mm.
The father will be caring for that child. At a certain age, the mother may be in a better position for. I'm not saying that they cannot go back for that child, but the manner in which they really would just come and say, I want my child.
Yeah.
They bring the police. They come with the police I want my child. And the police comes to help them keep the child. What about appealing to mothers? Please don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling the fathers as well, when you in a situation, fathers, that you have had this job, come to the Division of Women's Services, please let us know the situation.
Mhm.
Only then, of course, when the police comes, you can tell the police, I am with the Division of Human Services, please contact them. When you do that, even though you may not have a document to show, they will contact us and then we can intervene. But if you do not know the situation, of course, we cannot intervene. So fathers, for your own protection, please let us know what is
Very good. Yeah.
happening.
I see. And we need to talk on adoption. And the reason why we need some foster is because, because I mean, with the adoption is when the child is legally yours, right? You went through the court system, the High Court will give you a document say that child is yours. So at that time, all decisions are yours. The mother has no right, right? The mother, because the way the division does it, we do close adoption, right? For example, the close adoption is that you give birth to a child. Probably you do not like, you cannot care for the child, and you tell us that you will want that child to be adopted. We also interview you as a division to explain to you to and help you understand the difference between foster caring and adoption. We explain to you, like I've explained to you earlier, that do you want someone to care for the child in the meantime whilst you get to yourself together or your until your situation improves. Now, some people will say, yes, that's what I meant, because some people use the words interchangeably,
Yes.
right? So that is where we come in. We explain to them, do you want the child to be with somebody until your situation improves, or do you want the child to be with somebody for the rest of their life, right? And you as the mother, you make that decision. The decision is always yours, right? Now, if you say you do not want the child, somebody can have the child for the rest of their life. We go for adoption. We put the child in the same way. We go to court. Pre-adoptive. We identify a pre-adoptive parent, someone who says that I need a child to be adopted, and then we put the child in that person's care. For your protection, for the child's protection, we do not disclose who has that child. Because sometimes if we disclose who we gave that child for adoption in the next probably 10, 15 years, if you know who, some people, their situation has improved or they regret giving their child to somebody. They say, hey, you know, I'm your real mommy, and confuse the child. I'm their real mommy, and sometimes the child doesn't even know they are adopted. You understand? So to protect the child and protect the foster care, we do not sometimes you do not even know who has your child, right? Sometimes you'll be seeing that child on the street and you might not even know that's your child. Okay? So that is why we do close adoption. And it is safer to do the close adoption, right? For the reasons I have explained. And then meantime, yes, whilst you are candidate for pre-adoption, assessment and investigation still continues in the background, ensuring that you are a fit person. The caseworker still comes to your home, sometimes unannounced, into the school, ensure that the child's well-being is being well taken care of. And then a report is sent to the High Court where the court makes a decision to give you that child. Now, before that decision goes there, most times they go back to the worker, to the mother, and ask, "Are you sure?" Yes, I'm sure. Then you get the child for adoption. You know? Um, Signing agreement. I've never gotten a lawyer, but the court makes a decision based on the report.
My question to you, Mr. Edward, what is the how do you choose persons for adoption? Can I just come and say, Mr. Edward, I heard there's a baby in the room, and I want to adopt this baby. Can that happen this week? What is the process of getting being eligible for adopting a child?
Um, Eligibility is being willing to care for a child, right? As a criteria, being eligible to care for a child. You need to be, because normally adoption has fixed with babies where you have to buy pampers, you have to buy milk and everything. So you you need to be working, right? You don't have to make millions of dollars, but at least so that your financing is good enough so that you can care for a child, right? Sufficiently in terms of the basic needs. You need to have a home where the child will be staying. You need to be physically and mentally fit. Mentally fit, right? So that we know that we are who we given. You need to be a fit person, somebody who's caring, who's loving, who's able to care for a child. As a criteria, we must be able to, right? We do not look for mansions, right? So, but somebody, once you are caring, you're loving, you do not, some people cannot make a child. When we find that a lot, some married couples that cannot have children, so they look for.
But for the what you say, yes, but I know that there is a list. But this is what came into the division and say, I'm interested
Mhm.
in adopting a
Yeah,
child.
there's a
And
list.
of course, there will be things, the name will be placed in the list. These are people who have been screened.
Screen.
As I said, it will be saying, you would have been screened, the family background have been checked, investigations would have been done, and so on. So, the reason I asked you that question, this is getting that okay, I'm of the street, I'm a teacher, I have a good job, I have a good family, and everything. And I'm coming to ask you for this child, and of course, I'm not giving this child somebody was chosen over me. Reason being that this person is already on the list, and there is a waiting list.
There's a waiting list,
Yes.
especially for
So
newborns.
this is
For
what I
newborns,
was
yeah,
asking.
yeah, for
Right.
newborns. There's a waiting list. So anybody who wants to first adopt a child, there's a waiting list. Contact any offices of the Division of Human Services. They'll give you some form, an application form where you'll fill it out so that we can know that you are waiting for a child, and then when the need arises, you will be getting when the child when a baby is available, because you can also say from what age you want. Some people do not want the babies, they don't want the crying young, they want from two years to 4 years around that time. You set your criteria, and when we get a child who sit in your criteria, we can contact you. So we have offices in Sufre, we have offices in Beaufort, we have offices in Henry, Miku, Castries, and Grozile. You can ancillary economies, yeah. So you can find these of satellite offices and then give them your name, they give you an application form, or you can visit the either the Beaufort office or the Castries office and speak to the foster care unit. And they will give you more information.
There's a foster care adoption unit in the Viewport office and so unfortunately we do not have one. So
But you can still
I
assist.
do,
You can still
I
assist.
do assist,
Yeah.
but then I will refer.
Yes,
to-
yes.
Right. So give us some more information, Mr. Edward, on how, if I'm interested in becoming a foster carer, not to adopt,
Mhm.
but if I'm interested in becoming a foster carer, what would be the procedure? What would I have to do to become a foster
First of all, like I said, your willingness to care for that child, right? Most foster carers have already identified which family they're willing to do, right? For example, they'll say, there's this child, the family cannot take care of the child. I don't mind helping the family and whatever. Normally, the foster carers have already identified the children. However, there are certain times We put them. Some people come to us and say, if there is any child in need of help or assistance, you can call me. That is fine. That is perfect. You can also do that. Come to the division, give your name, because recently we had a foster care drive, and we'll talk about it later. The reason why we need people to foster care children. Um, so you come to the division, you give your name, saying your interest in foster caring a child, and then you take it from there. Because we always need foster carers. We find our children find themselves in certain difficulties that they need. We need to remove them from the home they are in and place them with another with a caring family. Then there are difficulties. Some homes are
It's
not
not
that
the best place.
I want to put it in a nice way, but some homes are not
It's not the
what
best
the
environment
what
for
the
the
children are
child.
going through.
Yes.
It is not right. It is not good. Right? I'm not talking about living conditions. I'm talking about treatment, right? Treatment, what they have to go through, the abuse, especially the abuse. For example, if a child is say that I am being sexually abused by my brother, my father, my uncle, even in the same house, once we get that knowledge, we have to remove the child immediately, right? And then we have to look for a family because we prefer to look to place the child in the care of family via institution. Family comes first, right? So when we look for a family, sometimes no families want to come forward. But it always strikes me when a child is born, probably you can help me with that. When a child is born, the godparents always run forward and say, I want to be the child's godparent. But when push comes to shove, when we really need the godparents, why are they absent? Why are they running away?
Maybe now we need to let the what parents do roles as what parents do. I think some what parents are not really as to what they're getting themselves into because it's just the day in person when the dedication is happening, really nice and then come and say representing the child
Yeah,
for the party.
yeah,
And afterwards the child is not the experience for parents anymore.
yeah.
So we should remind the parents, what are your roles?
That's part of the role.
Yeah,
As
the
a
roles.
godparent, is that when the parent is unable to care for the children, I am willing to step up and take care of my godchild. That's the role of a godparent.
Yep.
But some people, I want to be the nene, I want to be the parent. But when it comes, the child is in certain situations, we're looking for people. People are not there.
Very much so. Very much so.
Okay?
So
Yeah.
you heard Mr. Edwards. So being a good parent is just when you were nice and done that you come in and say, you know, you're good mother, you're good father. And then when the children need their help, you say, Mama, what's
Yeah,
you have to do it alone.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was saying the reason why we need foster parents is to help the children, help the child. Because we find ourselves sometimes in a time a child needs to be removed from our home, right? And then we are looking for family members, sometimes because the parent and their siblings are not speaking to them, or they do not have good terms. Me, I don't have nothing to do with her child, although you are that person's aunt or uncle, right? But I don't have nothing to do with your child. Um, this is not right. Even though you and the parents are not speaking, so that's your niece, your nephew. You can stay forward to help that child because remember you are not doing it for the mother, you are doing it for an innocent child, right? So not because you and probably your brother or your sister is not speaking that you cannot help your child. No, help the child. You're doing it for the innocent child. Let us go forward. Let us build that. It takes a community to raise a child, right? You do not have to be the relative of a child to help a family. Help the division. The division call you, or if we have a list, if you come, you put your name down. A situation arise, we can place that child with you. And sometimes that placement might just be sometimes as short as probably 2 days, 3 days. But for them, sometimes for the night, we need some place to put that child for a night or a day whilst investigation continues into what is the actual problem or what is being done to that child or what is the child is going through, what is happening to the child. Sometimes it is not a long-term thing, but sometimes just for the night, for 2 days, 3 days, a week, when the caseworker investigate or gather more information on what the allegation is. So, Virgin, Suffragans, Sozalians, whoever is hearing me, come forward. Please visit the Suffrag office. Put your name down as a potential foster care parent, right? To help a child in need, a child who might have to urgently be removed from a situation or environment, and then you can come forward and replace that child with you for the time being, just to assist the child.
Also for siblings, please know that when you have a child, it's almost like you're being a parent in the meantime. So as a parent, you have to exercise your patience,
Mhm.
you have to exercise your love, your care, and everything. Because so many times we get foster parents and before 2 days go by, hey, I don't want that child again, return the child to the division. I don't want that child again because myself, please know that children will be children. Children will face challenges. We will have
Mhm.
some challenges. We will have good days and bad days.
Mhm.
So
Just like
please,
your own child.
right. So please remember, you are parenting that child. It's not like you're saying, okay, I'm opening my house to, I'm opening my house for pets, or something. I'm going to bring you in and pushing your kid every day. No, you're having a child. So be ready to face the challenges as well as the good days. There will be good days, there will be bad days. So as much as yes, you will be granting us a favor, you're granting the children a favor, but know that when you're doing that, there will be challenges. So I'm putting it out there already. There will be challenges in this favor. So we're not going to sugarcoat it and say, "Hmm, it's a great job. It's easy. So please come put your name for it. But just looking at once when you're going to be parents,
Yeah.
parenting this
And,
for children.
and while the child is in foster care, it is also important that for them to know that we also provide the child with the books, the uniforms,
Yes, yes,
we assist them, and we give you a monthly stipend as much as possible. Although it's not something big, but we give you a monthly stipend just to help you the upkeep of your child, right? It is not something where you'll come and say you'll leave on that because it's not that big, right? But at least it will help. Yes, and we assist during the school term. School books is on us. The uniforms we take care of that for SSDF or for the ministry. We take care of that. So that's one expense you do not have to go through. We still give you a stipend. You still prior to the COVID, I think that will start very soon, man. During the summer, they used to have summer camps and all these things for the foster children, just to make them feel happy and happy. So it's a great job. It's a challenge, like Miss William had said. But if you love children, you want to remove a child from an environment, I would urge everyone because who knows, sometimes as soon as we finish there, Miss Body might get a call from somebody, the police, something happened to the parent. We need to place that child someplace. And then if we have nobody on the list, we have to help there, helter skelter looking for people. And that is not,
and something I have said to the public before, I'm saying it again. We do not have somewhere parents where we can just take the children and send them to. We have no house to place them in. Because I think some persons are under the belief that you could just take, especially children who are challenging the parents, that you can just take them out the division, the government will take them and just place them in an institution.
We get a lot of that for the
Yeah,
boys.
we get to there is no place to just come and finish it. It doesn't happen this way. And like Mr. Edwards said earlier, the last thing we want to do is to institutionalize the child. We believe that the child is better off in a family, in a loving environment. Okay, so I was coming to say also for some parents. Something that I one of the things that is a bit disappointing is at first foster parents at first. We explain everything to you. It's just an example. It's not the actual thing. It's an example. If we say, okay, we call it a stipend because it's not a salary.
Mhm.
It's a stipend is something small.
Mhm.
So if we say your stipend is $100, $150 a month, that's not the
Yeah,
actual
it's not
thing.
the actual
I'm
thing.
just giving an example.
It's more than that.
So if we say your stipend is $150, we explain everything to you. You accept, you take the child in because in your mind, I make money of these people. I'm not saying that as a parent, I'm just bringing it out there. And later on to come back to us to say, that's not doing anything for the child. I need more money, and so on. We have books and that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
ask all the questions you need to ask.
Mhm.
When you're agreeing to be a foster parent, ask the question. Don't be afraid. Ask everything. We are going to explain to you.
Mhm.
And if you have agreed with the terms and conditions of everything, then you come and go. But do
Mhm.
not make it a thing of you coming in for the stipend. And when you find out this stipend is not enough, then you come back at the same time. Mr. Edward, so that amount you see you need to take care of the child, you guys have to do before.
Mhm.
So this is why we are coming here to say that you you are you are assisting and we really we're pleading with you
Mhm.
the public that we need here. We need foster parents.
Mhm.
We need persons to come forward to assist us. So
And our
coming to
child.
us
This is
and
us.
a child, a
Yeah.
family. So coming to us to provide that assistance. Mr. Edward?
Yeah. Um, yeah, so all right. Yeah, I want to thank Ms. William for um inviting me here. Um, yeah. Yeah, because foster care, we do need foster parents, potential foster parents to come up because children go through a lot and sometimes you have to remove your child. And it hurts all social workers. All right, now I won't say all, but most social workers, when almost all social workers, when there is a situation that warrants a child being removed from that home, and we trying to find family members and they are not coming forward. Sometimes we leave our office late night, 11, sometimes all 8, 9 o'clock. Police will call us. We respond to certain things, certain situations, right? Up to last night, there was a situation which we had to respond to around after 8, 9 o'clock at the police station. But we are calling, please, for people. And as a matter of fact, it just dawned on me, even in the scriptures, those who know the Bible more than me, where I think Christ said, if you do these to certain persons, you do it unto me. When you help a child, you are doing it to help the community. Listen, when you help a child who's going through a struggle, if that child doesn't receive the help, that child can act out. That child will be might turn out to be a rebellious child. Now, if you come forward today, you help that child, you provide the care, the support the child needs. This child might be a loving, wonderful child and might do a meaningful contribution to society. But if the child is left in that environment and there is nowhere to put that child might be a menace in society. So, my last words for now is that please, we are begging, we are pleading for foster care, for people to come forward so that we can have an alternative when a need arises and we need some place to put a child. please come forward, visit the office, probably before, whilst Miss Bonimet is giving you her last 3 words, she will give you the office number where you can call, and that you all can make an appointment, and then she can take your name, and that in the event something happens, we are not praying for it to happen, but it happens with our field of work. It happens quite often where a child has to be removed, so she can call you so that you can help that child. So, like I said, sometimes the foster caring a child might be for a week. It does not have to be 2 3 years. And sometimes it can be a few days until we find a relative member.
Thank you, Mr. Edward. And my office number is 457-1645, 457-1645. My working cell is 712-3109, 712-3109 within the hours of 8 o'clock to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Some persons call me minutes to 8 in the morning. You call me 6 o'clock in the night. You call me Sundays and Saturdays. People, please be mindful. I have a family as well. Also, not foster carers, are the families of children who are in foster care. When we we ask the family for help, we don't get. It is very sad, and I'm coming to say it because of an experience that I've had. Family members do not assist this child in need. A stranger comes, assists the child. And the families, before anything happens, comes down now and bombards this stranger, looks at every little thing that happens and calls the social worker. Hey, he doing that, or she doing that. Please, family members, you work alongside the foster carer, not bombard the foster carer for this child that you did not assist with. So this is what I want to say. We have to work together. All of us have to work together to raise a child, because we used to say before, and it still holds today, that it takes a community to raise a child. So let us all work together for the betterment of our future generation, our children. Thank you so much.
Okay.